So this video is probably titled something like things a manipulator will do when you expose them. Honestly, I would have preferred to use the word abuser, but YouTube's weird about certain words, especially being used as a title. I do think the two are mainly interchangeable because pathological manipulators are typically abusive and abusers are typically manipulative. Some people would use the word narcissist, and while certainly many narcissists are manipulative and many of them can be abusive, I think when people say the word narcissist, what they're really referring to is an abuser, right? Like you don't have to have narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic traits necessarily to use the tactics that I'm about to tell you about. So that's what I mean by manipulator. But then let me also clarify what I mean by exposing a manipulator. Sure, it could refer to like actually threatening to like sue someone for something they've done to you, for instance, but a manipulator is going to feel exposed by even much less drastic things. It could be as simple as you now see through their harmful behaviors. You no longer tolerate their harmful behaviors. You're starting to set boundaries. Or it could mean also you are being honest with other people about the harmful behaviors that you've observed in them. It could really be any number of these things. But in this situation where a manipulator feels like you are about to expose them, there's usually a step-by-step framework that they will go down like clockwork. And so today I'd like to share what that step-by-step process is so that you know what to expect if you are in a situation where you've kind of exposed a manipulator, and hopefully how to protect yourself from it better. Let's get started. So number one, if you are about to expose a manipulator for something they've done to you, the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to try to convince you that you're not seeing things clearly. They're going to try gaslighting you. They're either going to deny the behavior or somehow distort the behavior. So denying the behavior could be saying like, that didn't happen. That's not true. You're not seeing things clearly. I never said that. Even when there's sometimes literal proof of what they said or did. Or if they're not going to take the denying it route, or if denying it doesn't work, they're going to somehow try distorting the behavior. They might try to explain or rationalize their behavior away while also augmenting the behavior you took part in, either before what they did as like a justification for why they think that you deserved what happened to you, or what you did afterwards. And just generally ascribing the most charitable of intentions to themselves and the worst of intentions to you. This combination really results in distortion of the facts of what happened. Number two, if that doesn't work, they're going to start to get very angry with you, and they're going to try shaming or punishing you into silence. So DARVO is a technique that abusers use very often, which stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. If the D in DARVO, the deny, didn't work, then they're going to move into the ARVO, into the attack, and reversing who is the victim and who is the offender in the situation. So if you come to them and you say, hey, you manipulated me when you did that, what you're accusing them of, they're probably going to accuse you of. There are going to be a lot of accusations that you are the manipulator, you are a narcissist, you are an abuser. This is going to hurt really deeply if you're someone with self-reflective capacity who typically asks themselves, oh my God, did I do something wrong? Like, hold on, maybe this person has a point. So you really need to be aware that they're going to do this. You really need to be aware that this is like clockwork, what they do. You accuse them of something, they're going to accuse you of doing that thing to them. Or they might shame you for the way that you brought up your concerns instead of addressing the actual concern that you brought up. They might say like, well, I didn't appreciate that you got really angry. You started raising your voice when you found out I cheated on you. The intent is to shift the focus and the blame back onto you, to distract you from the topic at hand with feelings of shame. And they might even threaten you. They might say, if you don't stop this, I'm going to tell everyone what you did last summer. If you tell people about what I did, then I'm going to call your mom and I'm going to tell her about this and that. And usually if it gets to this point, they're probably pretty guaranteed to go into step number 3, which is they will begin a smear campaign against you. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to talk about possibly the most complex and harmful ways that manipulators respond to being exposed. But first, on the topic of being exposed, I want to tell you about something that's really important to me, which is making sure that my private information is safe. And that's where I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Incogni, which I personally have been using for years. and it just helps me sleep so much easier at nighttime. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it is extremely easy to look up somebody's private information like their phone number, address, date of birth, relatives. There are so many people's search sites out there that have all your personal information that other people can find, and then of course data brokers aggregate your personal information and sell it to business and scammers for profit. All of this puts you at risk of scam calls, identity theft, harassment, doxing, stalking, financial crimes, all that good stuff. So Incogni tries to solve all these issues by asking all of these different websites to get your information off the internet. If you were to do this on your own manually, it would take years to accomplish, and of course you wouldn't even know where to start. But Incogni just does it for you effortlessly. So here's how it works. You just create an account, give them permission to contact brokers on your behalf to ask them to remove your information. You lean back and you just let them do the work for years on end. And you get a report that tells you how many of them were taken off the internet, which ones are in progress, which ones they're still waiting to hear back on. With a yearly subscription, they also make repeated removal requests so that they make sure not only do they take your information off the internet, but it actually stays off the internet. And now you can even add multiple different addresses and also other family members to your plan as well, so you can rest easy at night knowing that your other loved ones are safe as well. Use the link below to get 60% off your Incogni plan today. Thank you so much to Incogni. I really hope you check them out. Highly recommend them. Now back to how manipulators respond when they are exposed. And usually if it gets to this point, they're probably pretty guaranteed to go into step number 3, which is they will begin a smear campaign against you. Smear campaigns have a lot of sub-strategies even within them, but the general intention is pretty simple. It's to clear their own name while sullying yours. So let's talk about some of those components, some of the components of a smear campaign. First and foremost, they're going to start rallying up their supporters and buttering up more and more people to be on their side. They're getting ahead of the narrative by already preemptively explaining and softening their behavior to other people. So if, for instance, they think you're about to expose the fact that they called you fat, they might start telling people, she was accusing me of some really crazy, unfair things the other day. She said I called her fat, which was so untrue. Really, all I did was I told her to be careful not to lose her appetite because we had dinner in an hour. I would never call her fat. It was just a misunderstanding. So that if you actually expose what they did, other people already know, oh no, I know about this. It's not what she says. I already heard the other side of the story. It's not that bad. They're also going to start weaponizing their social group. They're trying to get as many people as possible to show them support so that you will be outnumbered if you expose what they did. So they're going to be leaning on their pre-existing social support network. They're going to be reactivating relationships that were dormant, reaching out to people they haven't reached out to in forever. They're going to be trying very hard to be charismatic and kind-seeming to the new people that they meet so that they get even more people on their team. And just generally, all of this is sort of meant to frame themselves as a mild-mannered, sweet, level-headed, empathic figure to contrast with how they're about to discredit you, particularly by framing you as someone who is unstable for some reason. Some common ways that they might make you seem unstable include saying that they're worried for you, feigning concern for your well-being, saying that you're behaving erratically or acting dysregulated or behaving impulsively somehow. And listen, oftentimes a victim will be understandably dysregulated after they've been victimized. And so this is really just a weaponization of their trauma reaction. They get to seem cool, calm, and collected, while the victim seems dysregulated, seems somehow out of line with the way that they're reacting to the abuse. They might also start fabricating or exaggerating things that would put your credibility in question, whether it's mental health issues, substance use, behavior that seems out of touch with reality. And they're probably going to weaponize any sensitive or private information that they know about you. Anything that you told them in confidence, it's going to get used against you now. Like if you break up with someone, they might go and immediately tell your friend everything that you told them in confidence about that friendship, every dissatisfaction and resentment that you had. Or they might use your biggest past wounds as a way to frame you as somebody unstable or unable to be trusted. And then the real kicker of the smear campaign is they play the victim. They accuse you of harming them before you can accuse them of harming you. So whatever their Darvo narrative is, that you're a narcissist, that you're a manipulator, that you harmed them in some way, that's what they're going to run with. And they're going to enlist their social network, everyone that they've gathered around them now, to shun, shame, or silence you. Remember, they've portrayed themselves as like someone super sweet and innocent. And they've gotten all these people on their side. Old relationships, new relationships, established relationships. And now all of those people are going to suddenly feel very protective over them. And they're suddenly going to think, oh my God, how could someone do this to you? You're so mild-mannered. You're so kind. You've always been good to me. I've never had issues with you. So you might find yourself being a social pariah if their smear campaign is successful. Also, abusers tend to be very litigious, so they might actually try to take legal action against you as a way of silencing or punishing you or retaliating against you for something. And it's meant to send the message, don't you ever cross me again. If you try to expose me, I will do so much worse to you. Now, after the smear campaign has settled, after some time has passed, the fourth thing that they're probably going to do is they're probably going to move on to the next target. Abusers need someone to demonize. So as soon as you're out of their life for good, their attention is going to shift to someone new. And once they do, you're somewhat in the clear. You're not their top priority anymore. You might even become the good object because somebody else has become the bad object for them. And so you might start hearing through the grapevine that this person's experiencing a lot of conflict or estrangement with other people, dramatic falling outs with friends, high conflict breakups, sudden estrangements from family, and eventually it becomes clearer and clearer where the truth lies. And it becomes clearer to other people as well that it wasn't just you. It wasn't just that they had a problem with you. It wasn't just you that they did this to. They're doing this to person after person after person. They're targeting one after another with smear campaigns. And eventually, the social circle does start to wonder, hold on, you seem to have issues with a lot of people. Is there any possibility that you are the common denominator? And is there any possibility that I could be next? And then the fifth thing that doesn't always happen, but does happen often enough, is they might try to suck you back into their life, what sometimes people refer to as hoovering. Especially if they found someone else to demonize now. The psyche requires balance, right? They need someone to demonize and they need someone to idealize. So they might flip between you as the bad object, someone else is the good object, to someone else is the bad object, you're the good object again. So they might try to get you back. They might try to apologize. They might try to reach out, try to be friends again. I know that a hoovering attempt is insincere when it's clear from that person's way of reaching out that they haven't actually taken any responsibility and they haven't actually done any work on themselves. Like I remember one specific hoovering attempt that I experienced. Somebody reached out years after I asked them to never contact me again. And they were saying I miss our friendship, this and that. But even in that message itself, they were blaming somebody else. I could tell that somebody else had become the bad object. And that is why they needed me to be the good object. And so that was really clear to me. I was like, no, this person has not done the work on themselves. This person has not taken responsibility for what actually led me to distance myself from them. And if I reconnect with this person, I'm going to be right back where I started. And especially be really careful with this, because if this is someone that's enlisted a smear campaign against you and tried to ruin your reputation, if you go back to them, there are still going to be people in their circle who don't like you. And that's going to suck. It also puts you at risk of it happening all over again. And it also makes it possible for other people to feel like you're admitting you were in the wrong because you reconnected with this person. So I'm not saying to never reconnect with people. There are situations in which I reconnect with people, in which I forgive people after they take responsibility and some time has passed. But you got to be really sure that this person has truly taken the time to work on themselves. Because if they haven't, you are going to be in an even worse position than you are now. Those are the 5 steps that manipulators and abusers pretty much go through when they think somebody's about to expose them. I'm really curious if this resonates with you and if you have stories of your own when this has happened to you. So definitely do let me know in the comments down below. And otherwise, I will see you soon.